Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Palm Tree Sports Radio. My name is Corey Pujols, your host, and as always, it is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Happy Sunday, and I just have 7 words for you guys. And I said it's great to be a Florida Gator. That's right, baby. Florida Gators are going to the Final Four. They played a tremendous game against Texas Tech. That's going to be the highlight of the show this evening. But, of course, we're going to dabble in the NBA and as well as the NHL and MLB and talk about everything going on in the world of sports coming out of the Sunshine State. We'll keep it locked here in a few more moments before we get started for all of your sports needs coming out of the state of Florida, guys. My name is Corey Pujols, your host, and as always, it's brought to you by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Palm Tree Sports Radio. My name is Corey Pujols, your host, and as always, it is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Again, happy Sunday, you guys. Welcome to the show. I'm so glad to have you guys. We got a lot to talk about in the world of college basketball, guys, of course, with the Florida Gators. You see me repping. You see I got the sweater on, guys, and it's absolutely amazing to watch this team. Thomas Houck said it best, this team is special, and so I really can't wait to get into it, guys. I really can't wait to break down what I watched. I watched the entire game yesterday, so being able to do that was just massive, and so we're going to talk about that, but of course we're going to start in the NBA. We're going to talk about the Heat and the Magic. We'll talk about actually how the Heat have been playing very well this past week, including 4 wins in a row, and then we'll talk about the Magic. They have a pretty good track on that 7 seed, and they're also cruising back into 500 for their record on the season. Hopefully they'll get there this week and then be able to move on past that as the playoffs loom overhead, guys. Then we will talk about the MLB. We'll talk about the Rays starting their season with a 2-1 series win over the Rockies. And then, of course, the Marlins, who walked it off 3 times to start the season. So absolutely insane start to the season for them. So we'll get into that. And then I'll send you guys on your way. But first things first, guys, we have to go over some housekeeping per the usual. So let's get right into it, guys. Hey, listen, if you guys are on social media, if you guys are on X, or formerly known as Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever have you, you can find us at IE Sports Radio. Again, that is at IE Sports Radio for our social handle. That is the umbrella that my show is under, and is where you can find information on all the other shows, and also where you can find the links to listen to those as well, guys. And speaking of other shows, if you guys are looking for where else to get the podcast, now personally, and I always lead with only, my personal experience, because that's what I can lean on, but I use Apple Music, or obviously Apple Music if I use Apple Podcasts, so I use both of those. But in fact, I have Fast Break here on the background on my YouTube as well. So if you guys can, get to us on YouTube, that'd be another great place to do it as well. Wherever you get your podcast, though, at IE Sports Radio, and then at Palmtree _IE, guys. This is important for my show, for my specific show, guys. So if you guys are looking for the umbrella, it is at IE Sports Radio. If you are looking for this show, it is at Palmtree _IE. Okay. And of course, like I said, wherever you get your podcast from, you can find them all there. And then for my specific social handle, guys, at Pujols Corey, I'm always on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. I've been up and down there yesterday talking about the Gators game. And of course, just eyeballing everything sports related for the state of Florida. So guys, come holler at me on there. Come, give me a hot take. There have been a couple of hot takes that we've, been going over recently, including, what's going to happen here in the Final Four. As predicted, all 4 number ones made it. And so as a result, we're kind of looking and saying, okay, so who's the best team? Realistically, we have 4 ranked ones. This has happened many times before. Obviously, notably, it happened in if you guys remember, in 1993, all 4 ranked ones made it. It came down to Michigan versus North Carolina, and North Carolina won by virtue of a technical foul in the form of a timeout that Michigan did not have. So just a little interesting thought process about how when that happens, when your 4 ranked ones get together, it's always entertaining basketball, and I can't wait to see what happens next. So we'll definitely get into that and so much more on this week's episode of Palm Tree Sports Radio, guys. But before we can get into that, let's go ahead and get into a quick message from our sponsors. And after that, we'll jump into all the information I have coming towards you this evening, guys. Keep it locked here for about 3-4 minutes, give or take, and we'll be right back to you, okay?
Hi, eSports Radio fans. This show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, single-A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clinking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
And welcome back, guys, to Palm Tree Sports Radio. My name is Corey Pujols, your host, and as always, it is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports, guys. Oh, man. So, a lot to be excited about right now for the state of Florida. I went ahead and threw the hat on just so I want you guys to, I'm repping tonight, guys. I'm super proud of my teams and what we have to talk about this evening. And I know the baseball season just started, but, we're going to stand with the Rays. And we really hope that the Rays stay here in Tampa Bay along with our Tampa Bay Buccaneers and our, Lightning Bolts as well. So, but, that's something that, we'll have to wait and see. I know it's always such a weird, sticky situation whenever there's, the kind of issues that the Rays are dealing with. But rest assured, they are still here in Tampa Bay right now, and they look to be that way for the foregoing future. As far as Tampa Bay is concerned, I have a lot of faith in that team. They're obviously St. Pete and Orlando are trying to make competition, but I got a lot of faith in Tampa Bay. Now, for our fact, before we get into the chat, I'm actually going to do the fact of the day, guys. And I think that's because it's very interesting. Every state has a bird, and I always thought that ours would be something cool. It's not. We do not have a cool bird, guys. So our bird is actually the northern mockingbird, which I actually had the pleasure of seeing recently at a park while I was at work. I work with the city at a lot of sites where we do restoration and we fix up. My position is as an environmental stewardess, and so I just take care of the environment here in the city. And our grant is federally funded, and it goes through the state and the city. And so as a result, I get a chance to see a lot of interesting nature. Just last week we actually went kayaking, so that was a lot of fun. But the point that I'm making behind that is saying that, I really thought that we were going to have this, Florida Gators, right? The Gators, a mockingbird, northern mockingbird in one of the southernmost states of America. It's the northern mockingbird. So I just, oh my God, I just thought that was so interesting. And that was going to be the fact of the day about the state of Florida. Man, I wish we had like a bald eagle or what's the hawk? Is it like the something? There's like an adjective that describes the hawk, but we couldn't have like a cool bird. We had this adorable wake you up in the morning, bird. Let's get into the chat, guys. So first things first, T-Rod in the building. Yes, sir. It's always good to see you, my friend. I'm glad that you're on the show. We got the old man in the building. Hey, Dad, say it one more time. I know you're in the crib prancing around. That's what I've been doing. But just go ahead and say it one more time. And it's said it's great to be a Florida Gator, baby. Magic making moves. Yeah. We need them to finish strong, man. That's the team that's going to represent Florida here in the postseason. If I had to pick a team, that would be the team that I pick. And, hopefully they do finish strong. Agreed wholeheartedly, 100%, Dad. Yes, sir. And like you said, it is great to be a Florida Gator. Absolutely. And we're going to wear that statement out this evening, guys. So get ready for that. Okay. Well done to our Tampa Bay Sun FC, a lady soccer team with another strong showing against the Brooklyn FC Flying team. 2-2 tie ball game there. Tampa Bay is now 1-1-3 in last 5 matches. So while Brooklyn FC is 0-3-2 out of first place. And yet, these games are a little bit more competitive, right? I don't think we really pay attention to that. But, It's very competitive soccer that's being played right now, and big up to our ladies for hanging in there. And they're trying to ride a wave right now. It's a tough one to ride, but they're going to find success. They just got to continue to do what they've been doing, and develop that continuity and continue to just literally not give up, because I really feel like that's where we are right now, especially with the Tampa Bay Sun, is that this team can fight, and they've struggled against better teams. But for the most part, when they stay in there, they get themselves a shot to win, and that's all you can really ask for, right? So they have to continue to do that to find success, and I think that they will. Are you mocking us Floridians? Laugh out loud. That part, and T-Rod hearing a lot of talk about Juju. So just heartbreaking news for her. She decided to come back. And she suffered a massive injury. Was it a torn ACL? I think it was. Just heartbreaking loss. That was probably the team that we were looking at and saying, look, it's your world. It's your world, ladies. What are they, 34-3 or something like that on the season was their record. And then Juju goes down here so close to the end. Just such a heartbreaking development for them, and I really hope that she's okay. She's going to be an outstanding WNBA basketball star, and I can't wait to see what she's able to accomplish at the next level. But just absolutely heartbreaking news for her, and just praying and wishing for her a speedy recovery, no matter what it takes. So yeah, absolutely. And mind you, that was just me kind of glazing, because I'm, obviously we're not going to talk about the Lady Gators because their season is over. They're 19-17. They've squeaked out some wins and losses here, but their season kind of ended against LSU with that last loss. And so they're going to play Minnesota, but I wasn't going to go into too much detail about that simply because of the situation with Juju. And it's just, man, this is like the biggest fear. Like, and I, it's so crazy because like the same thing for the Gators. Like, this is like the biggest fear as a fan, right? Just as a fan of a team who has such a promising future and such a leg up on the rest of the competition. Let's make no mistake about it. Juju is absolutely phenomenal. She's most likely the very best women's college basketball player out there at the moment. And like I said, with her desire to come back and try to bring a title back home, she didn't have to. She could have left. She could have got a paycheck. She could have moved on with her career. She wanted to stay with her girls, with her alma mater, with her coach, and try to bring home a championship. And that is just one of the most commendable things. But at the same time, you do, expose yourself to this situation. And it's absolutely, it's just absolutely heartbreaking. So Agreed, T-Rod. I'm going to flash that real quick. Definitely hoping she gets back before that 25-26 season as well. And like you said, SC plays South Carolina. SC plays SC. That's insane. But and then UConn Notre Dame next season in non-conference. But yeah, those are gonna be some insane games for sure for the very best that college basketball has to offer. WNBA college basketball. I don't say WNBA, but WNCAA. Jesus, I'm getting all my. You could tell I don't talk about women's basketball very much, but that's a massive deal for next year. And agreed, though. I just really hope she does come back. Like I said, for me, my heart just goes out to her and what she experienced with that injury. I can only imagine how it feels. Well, with that being said, and with all the feels and the warm wishes and all of that in mind, we're going to refocus here into Florida, okay? And to start things off, we are going to dabble in the NBA. So we're going to go ahead and get into it with the Heat. Let's talk about what's going on with those guys down south. They're rocking a 33-41 record right now. They did just pick up a win against the 76ers, the score of that game being 118-95. 76ers rocking a 23-51 record. This team is struggling a lot, more than the Heat. And, of course, they're without their main star. And there's just a lot of drama there in Philadelphia. There's a lot of, who wants to be here, who doesn't want to be here. And I think that that element is finding its way into the locker room and causing this team to kind of fall apart a little bit. I'm not saying that like they have drama or something to that effect, but you can just see that they're not the team that they once were 2 years ago, right? Like there's no other way to look at it. And how could they be with everything that's happened to them, with the offseason? Of course, injury riddled as well. But I say all that to say that this is what the Heat need. They need to build, right? Like, who knows what the postseason has in store for them. They could continue to, is this turnaround for real? We don't know. We'll find out soon enough, but we just don't know at the moment. We're not going to find out in the next game either, because the next game is against the Wizards, rocking a 16-58 record. This is the worst team in the East, at least record-wise. So, the Heat have what they need, and they have the opportunity to build. But can they and will they? That's the question. Are they for real right now? Well, they need to be for real right now. Like I said, they're 8 games, out of 500, and they're, I think, 9th in the East right now. The Magic are the 7th in the East. So, I mean, can they do it? Absolutely. Coach Spo, Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo, just there's plenty of talent around the ball. Great coaching. Can they do it? That's the question. It's going to be on them to do it. I have all the faith in the world, in this Miami team, just because I have faith in Miami in general. I've always been a lover of the Miami Heat, and I'm hoping for the best for them. But I have to admit, there's an element of me that thinks they may have done too much damage to themselves before getting to this point, and as a result, they are definitely struggling. So, this late in the season, all of these W's mean something, and you're going to stack them as much as they can. They've ripped off 4 in a row after that loss to the Rockets. I think with that loss to the Rockets, they had lost like 12 in a row or something like that. It was rough, just a lot of losses, and here they are trying to stack some W's, and so, very commendable, very respectable, but, you got to ask, has it happened too late in the season? Are you guys trying to come back at a time where teams are kind of cruising, and, are we too far away? I think that the Hawks are also in front of them. The Hawks are struggling right now. So there is the possibility, but if they get in, it's going to be at an 8. I just don't see them having a better record than the Magic by the end of the season. And not only that, but I think that the Magic are the better team, as far as health and skills concerned as a whole. The Magic just have the better team top to bottom. So a lot of faith in the Miami Heat, hoping for the best for them. But do I think that they're going to make it? I'm not sure. I really can't. I really can't tell you that they will. So Heat is tied with the Bulls for 9th place. All right, yeah. So there you go, and they're 2.5 behind the Hawks. So yeah, for the most part, and that's what I was mentioning before. But realistically speaking, as far as what to expect from them, I don't know. It's a scary time, guys. It's a scary time right now. And like I said, the Magic are the better team. So my money's in the basket with the Magic right now. And that's just where I stand at that. Like I said, approaching the end of the season, you got to ask if they waited too late to try to make this run. So that's the Heat. Magic, like I said, playing better basketball. They are the better team for all intents and purposes. They're missing something, and I don't know what it is, but they're missing something. They've been playing tremendous defense, well, they've gotten better defensively as a team. I mean, obviously that's the case, but, also playing better defense is always is going to help out a lot. And I think that's part of what's been helping them stack W's on their quest back to 500. And their quest back to 500 is only 3 games separated, right? So they're rocking a 36-39 record. They just came away with a massive win against the Kings, rocking a 36-38 record as well. My bad. So I said 36-38 record is the Kings, 36-39 record is the Magic. My apologies. But they rip off that win against the Kings, 121-91, massive win there against a decent team. Obviously the Kings have been, they've been getting rid of players and doing this transformation that we see happen many times in the NBA. And so, no team is immune from that. But still, you take these W's where you can. This is not a bad team at all. It's a team going through changes. They're getting ready to go see another good team, or a better team, I should say, in the Clippers tomorrow at 7 p.m. And, guys, everything is tomorrow at 7 p.m., okay? Everything's tomorrow at 7 p.m. So, yeah, get ready for that game. Clippers rocking a 42-32 record. I believe the Magic can win. They're just going to have to go in there to play basketball the way they've been playing. Winners of the last 4 of the last 5 and 7th in the East dictate that this team has everything that they need to find success. Especially when you look at Paulo Banchero, when you look at Franz Wagner, KCP, all these, they got some ballers on this team. And like I said, they're playing better defense. They're running away with games here. Like I said, 121-91, that's a 30-point ball game, guys. I mean, that's a solid W right there. And they did that against, a team that, again, I don't think this team is bad at all, the Kings. I just think they're going through changes. And, if they can do that, if they can continue to do that, they'll be above 500 before the season ends, and they will find themselves in great position, to make a deep run into the playoffs, which is what we've been talking about, what we're hoping for. Just really proud of this team. Like I said, when I first started this show over 2 years ago, guys, I wasn't 100% sure if, this team was going to be serious. And they are. And not only are they serious, but they are advancing so fast and becoming, such a good team in such a short period of time. And we don't talk about it enough. Paul Banchero's an all-star. He needs to get more credit. People need to talk about him more. Kawhi Leonard has been playing well. That statement, as long as I've watched Kawhi play. So for reference, watching Kawhi, I saw him guard LeBron when he was with the Spurs as a young man, and I knew he was good then. I knew he was special. His time with the Raptors and that dramatic championship that he brought to the Raptors was insane, and so I mean that doesn't surprise me. I think I'm just surprised that he's playing. And I'm saying that with no malice in thought, just the fact that obviously, over the last so many years, he's been yawn, I don't want to play. And so, yeah, absolutely, he's playing well. I guess the question for me is for how long? I enjoy seeing top tier basketball, and I think he's always been a phenomenal basketball player. But man, he's definitely one of those guys that does not play a lot. And now that he is, it's great to be able to say that. But sheesh. Yeah. So I'm going to just put that right there for a second for reference for those who do not know. But FYI, Orlando Miracle became the Connecticut Sun in their 5th year of existence in the WNBA. Hopefully revenues increase so we get another franchise in Florida. Yeah, I mean, I think the revenue's there, Dad. I think the question is, do they want to or not? I really think that's the question is, do they want to? Because think about it, they're trying to put a package together for the Rays. If you have enough money to buy the Rays, you have enough money to buy just about any team. I mean, that's not a cheap team. I'm going to be honest with you. Orlando wants premium, though. That's the thing. Orlando wants to do what Tampa Bay is doing because Tampa Bay does it passively. Orlando does it progressively. So for those of you who do not know, here in Florida, Tampa is more of a living quarters than Orlando is. Orlando is definitely more tourist, definitely more adventure, definitely more it's just a smaller city version of I don't know, what would be a great just a smaller city version of Miami without the Miami Beach, in my opinion. Miami gets absolutely insane, but if you just talk about the city part of Miami, Orlando is very similar to that. It's very young in nature. Obviously, it's a great place for the young people to go out to the clubs and to all the sites. They got Ripley's Believe It or Not. They have WonderWorks. They have Universal Studios. It's a vacation spot is the point that I'm making. So they have the money. Orlando has the money to do whatever it is they want to do. Okay. They definitely have the money. But they, like I said, they want to be, I guess they just see what Tampa Bay and Miami are doing, and they want to be a part of it from that standpoint of the sport category, because all that they have are the Orlando Magic. Outside of that, there's not a whole lot. So yeah, it's, Orlando has the money. They just have to. They're choosy. They're choosy. But yeah. So that's, and as we were talking about Orlando, that's it for the Orlando Magic. Like I said, they've ripped off 4 of the last 5, and they're going to go see the Clippers tomorrow at 7 p.m. Like I said, 7 p.m. tomorrow is going to be the time for a lot of the games. Like I mentioned earlier, the Heat game is going to be against the Wizards. That's going to be tomorrow at 7 p.m. So just keep that in mind for Florida sports, that tomorrow is going to be a big day for sports. And of course, Monday Night Raw and a few other games that I'm going to mention to you in a few moments. But first things first, let's go ahead and get into our first break of the evening. When we get back, we'll talk MLB and we'll close things out with the NHL before I send you guys on your way But we'll talk about the Gators as well when we come back from the break. I wanted to kind of get that off the rebound, if you will. And so we'll cover all of that before I send you on your way. But keep it locked here at Palm Tree Sports Radio for all of your Florida sports needs. My name is Corey Pujols, your host. And as always, it is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Everybody, this is Darren Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunder Spikes? Then I have the show for you, Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back to Palm Tree Sports Radio. My name is Corey Pujols, your host, and as always, it is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. So, this is the part that I'm most excited about. I've been a little giddy. I'm extremely tired, had an extremely busy week, but I was eyeballing this game yesterday against Texas Tech. Here we are in the Elite Eight once again. First time since 2017. Playing for a chance to write history one more time against three other teams that I feel like just aren't as good as my Florida Gators. And with the excitement in the air, all I can tell you was I was pacing up and down this room. I was yelling. I was clapping. I was yelling more. I have a lot of emotion, a lot of competitiveness within me, and it's all out of love. It's because I love my Florida Gators. I love my Tampa Bay Rays. I love my over here, my bad, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, okay? My Miami Heat, my Los Angeles Lakers, all right? Orlando Magic, it goes on, right? Yesterday was one of those moments that felt like something we're going to watch for many more years to come, in fact. So for reference, for those of you who do not know, the Florida Gators under Todd Golden have just repopulated this team with a balance of star power and raw ability that we don't see very often, okay? And I'm just going to run through a couple of guys and the experience that I've had watching them play basketball. Of course, I've watched them throughout the year, but now we're at the part where it really counts, and so we're going to dive into that for a little bit. But this Florida Gators team houses some of the very best big men in college basketball, including Alex Condon and Thomas Houck. Shout out to Thomas Houck. He was absolutely sensational yesterday. And then, of course, our backcourt with three of the very best guards in the country as well. Will Richard, Elijah Martin, and, of course, Walter Clayton Jr. Man, that Walter Clayton Jr. kid is a stud, man. Oh, my God. He had me worried. I won't lie to you. He definitely had me worried. First half of the game, Texas Tech is kind of controlling the ball. I do have to point this out simply because you will notice it if you go back and rewatch the entire game. The referees were very hard to deal with during that game. All right, guys. And I'm saying that to say they were calling fouls, and the announcers, the people calling the game, are saying that's a terrible call. And multiple times. I'm pretty sure they said it close to 10 times last night. And when you have announcers every other time the whistle's blown saying, all right, that's a bad foul, that's a bad call, why? What are they, this seems like a stupid reason to stop play. That's something I want to point out because I know it's not just the Gators game that was an experience, that there have been other teams who have experienced that as well. And that there have been other games that have been also horribly officiated. But guys, we need these zebras to start calling the game down the middle. If you're going to let them play, let them play. If you're going to call everything, at least call the stuff that matters, right? Call stuff that is like legitimately a foul. Don't call something a foul and there was no contact, because that's just frustrating. Stop stopping the game for no reason. Like, come on, guys. Like, we're adults. They're adults. There's a little competition. Come on, man. Like, let's be fair about this. Now, I had to get that out the way because this game was extremely close in the first half. As a matter of fact, it was looking like Texas Tech was manhandling the Florida Gators, though I just wouldn't call that. I watched the game from start to finish. The issue that I saw was that very early in the game, and really just in the entire first half and for a couple of minutes into the second half, the referees were blowing the whistle on every drive. They were blowing the whistle on people just kind of slipping. There was one slip that I saw a foul, and they were like, that should be a flagrant, and then it turned out it was just his momentum, and there was nothing flagrant about it, and that if it wasn't for the momentum, it wouldn't have been a foul to begin with. So there was a lot of that, but I say also that because of that, the Gators probably started to get a little timid. They start to go after it a lot less. The other thing that I realized is that there's this theme that teams believe that trying to slow down the Florida Gators and make them more surgical and cynical is going to make them less effective because of the speed that we play with. Newsflash, it don't change anything for us. It changes our approach, but it does not change the success that we're going to find. It just means it might be filtered through different personnel at different times. But we can do both. This is Florida. This is sunny Florida. And one thing Florida is known for across all of the sports that we play at UF is speed. And so, we did slow the game down in the second half. We did focus on time of possession. There were probably less points scored in the second half than the first due to that. The success was still there. Texas Tech did a great job. Williams, Topin, two Williams, I believe they had in Topin were really, really good. Especially Williams inside. His spin move was just lethal all night long. Getting to his left shoulder was absolutely crucial. But when, Alex and Thomas were able to keep him from getting to his left shoulder, they were able to stop him pretty coldly. Texas Tech shot amazing beyond the arc. It seemed like so many three balls were going in for them. But after the first half, the Gators made adjustments, and deep into the second half, the Gators made probably the best adjustment I've seen them make so far, and that's just let their guys ball. I think that you can see limitations really came off, specifically with Thomas Houck. This is a big man that can shoot. He's got a beautiful shot. He wants to be a Gator, and his future is extremely bright with this team. I think that what we saw was a very dynamic shift in a team that had to adapt and overcome. And that dynamic shift happened with Walter Clayton Jr. playing actually tremendous defense throughout the game. The theory that Texas Tech had was to make Walter Clayton play defense to slow him down. All it did was make him more cynical. I mean, the man's an absolute chemist in the lab. And, he was struggled a little bit in the middle of that shift from slowing his game down to being more precise. But as he, as the game went on, he got better. And, defensively, he was phenomenal. But those last, 3.5, 4 minutes by Walter Clayton Jr. show you why he's a scary guy, why he's a cold guy, in the words of Thomas Houck. So let's get into some of the stats real quick. I just wanted to tell you guys that experience before I get to the end. But the Gators beat Texas Tech 84-79. That's the official score. The game was a 10-point game with 3 minutes to go. Okay, and I'm highlighting that because, like I said, this is one of those games that the ending of it will last probably forever. We'll always go back and look at this, and especially if we win this national championship, and we'll say this is one of those moments that the Gators needed to be, the best team on the court, and they were. And so as a result, we had that it was that 10-point lead that Texas Tech had. There was a steal that took place by Elijah Martin that turned into a single-hand jam on the other end. And I think that might have been that little spark that the team needed, because shortly after that, we saw that we really saw Clayton open up. We saw him get into the paint a lot more. And it was very interesting because the more he got into the paint, the more that Texas Tech team began to collapse and forget that we have shooters on the perimeter. Denzel Aberdeen hit a couple of threes. You had Will Richard hit a three. Elijah Martin, who was kind of MIA a lot of the game, but was there still facilitating. He was there rebounding and assisting pretty well. But, man, let me tell you, that Walter Clayton kid, man, you put pressure on him and he just gets better. He just gets better. And that's what we saw. And, it started with that Elijah Martin single-hand jam. I believe it was, like I said, Denzel Aberdeen, I think, had a three shortly after that. Then you got a little cold. And then, like I said, we started seeing Walter Clayton Jr. drive to the lane, collapse the defense. And once that started happening, it really started freeing up some of the other guys. The guy that it freed up the most was Thomas Houck, and Thomas Houck was absolutely phenomenal. We're talking about a big man who was playing tremendous defense on the other end, swapping sides with Alice Condon, actively playing against the bigs, mainly Williams for Texas Tech, who was a phenomenal ball player, by the way. Guy's an absolute stud. And tremendous defense by Houck and by I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get to that. But just tremendous defense by Houck, tremendous offense and defensive play by Walter Clayton. So you have Houck come down, set the screen, two-man ball game with Houck and Clayton. Clayton takes the double, shifts back, sets his feet, drains a three, cuts the score. I think it was to 7 at that point. Texas Tech goes down, misses a shot, Florida ball back the other way. Kick it out to Houck again off of the screen. This is the two-man game, left side to right side of the top of the key. Houck drains another one as the Texas Tech defense got lacked and kind of decided that he wasn't a guy that needed to cover, even though he just hit a three. And, at that point, I think he had 13 points already. So he goes up to 16, give or take. Like, he was just absolutely balling. And so then they start to show Houck a little bit of respect. And when they do that, Clayton, he frees himself up off of the screen, hits the three to tie the ball game. Texas Tech goes back down, takes the lead again off of the two. Gators come back the other way. Clayton again off the screen, find his mark, hit his three, takes the lead by 1, and then the Gators just don't look back. Texas Tech decided to foul consistently to try and keep as much time on the clock as necessary. But when you have the lead, I feel like that's not what you need to do. And unfortunately, they just did a terrible job covering the Gators at the key, which is kind of the theme for every Gator game, especially when we're hitting the three. And like I said, Clayton, he was there, but a large majority of his points before the end of the game came at the line. And, I think he was perfect at the line yesterday, in fact, and he's an 85% free throw shooter. So you kind of expect to have some really great free throw shooters on this Florida team. And so I just can't talk about how amazing it was to watch that game and watch those boys ball out. This team is scary. This team is special. Walter Clayton Jr. is a star. Don't put him in a corner. He will shine bright. And just the way that he came down the stretch, he was just an assassin. That final three that he hit to put the Gators back in the lead, in which they would never look back on. He had collapsed down into the lane and had 4 guys collapsing to him on defense. So he dribbles the ball back out, Steph Curry style, turns around, pop, bang for the 3-ball. And, as Thomas Houck said, that's a cold man right there. But if you guys didn't see right here in the chat, my old man did put Clayton's 30 points. Houck had 20 points and Martin had 10 points. Clayton, actually, his stats don't say enough about the way that he played. He had 30 points, 4 assists, 2 rebounds, 2 blocks, 2 steals. This guy was absolutely everywhere. He was absolutely phenomenal. Like I said, he started a little slow because he was mainly playing a defensive game. He wasn't hitting much of his shots beyond the arc in the first half, but towards the end of the game, like I said, he goes on a complete tear. I think he had 10 points there in the last 5 minutes of the ball game. And so as a result, it's one of those things where you look and you say, this is what makes him an All-American. This is what makes him an All-Star. He was phenomenal down the stretch. Big ups to him. Thomas Houck goes 20 points, 2 assists, 11 rebounds, absolutely going nutty on the boards. Him and Alex Condon were phenomenal on the boards last night. And so, yeah, I like I said, I just cannot speak to the success of this team enough. And like you said, Dad, Condon did hold up after that injury scare in the Maryland game, and I'm glad that it was just just a scare. And so shout out to our Florida Gators and what they were able to accomplish yesterday against Texas Tech. Excuse me. So now we're headed to the Final Four, and a familiar foe approaches with a vendetta against this Florida Gators team, but this Florida Gators team has a bigger chip on their shoulder, I believe. My pick is the Florida Gators. I'm going to rock, and I'm going to dance with who brought me, and it's going to be this blue and orange all day, every day until I die, guys. It's Florida Gators or nothing, and I'm going to rock with them to win it all. I'm going to rock with them to beat Auburn in this next game. That game is going to be Saturday, April 5th at 6:10 p.m. For the Final Four. I will be watching that game. I don't care if I have to watch it here or if I'm watching it at the function next week, but I will be watching that game no matter what. And I'm looking forward to seeing this team, handle business. Quick shout out to Marcus. What's up, my man? It's good to see you, brother. Glad that you made it for the show. Oh, man. Yeah, guys, it was incredible to watch that game yesterday. I was literally so excited. I also called my dad stressing out too. He'll tell you that I was concerned about this team when they were down 10, but I thought I was going to turn it off, but something told me not to, and I didn't, and I'm glad I didn't. So good job, Gators. Can't wait to see you boys next week. Let's get another dub. Okay, so we spent plenty of time on that. Let's go ahead and breeze through what I have for you on the rest of the way, guys. It's MLB and NHL. As you guys know, the MLB's season just started, and the Rays' first series was against the Rockies in the George Steinbrenner Field here in Tampa Bay, which is right across the street from Raymond James Stadium. And so it's all outside. I'm going to try to catch a game, but it'll have to be earlier than later, and that's going to be hard since I have so much work coming up in these next couple of months. These next 2 months are going to be absolutely hellacious for me, guys. And so I'm going to try to get to a Rays game, but it's going to be outside. We're already at 85, 90 degree weather down here in Tampa, Florida. It was nice today, but still hot. And as a result, we're trying to figure out how we're going to navigate that. We're going to try to catch a game with not any overcast because we don't want to get rained on, but definitely get one of those games where it's not 100-degree heat index outside because we're already there. But for the Rays, they did beat the Rockies 6-4 today. They start their season 2-1 with that series win against the Rockies. Shout out to the Rays for that. Rockies rocking a 1-2 record after this series. Next series is going to be against the Pirates. That first game starts tomorrow at 7:05 p.m. The Pirates rocking a 1-3 record. They just played the Marlins, as you guys know, when they're home games. The games do the tours through Florida, then see both the teams, and before they loop right back up to continue on the rest of their scheduled way. So the Rays, starting the season off decent, considering everything that's going on. Like I mentioned earlier in the show, we talked about, I'll dabble on it just a little bit more, but there are multiple components within Central Florida who are trying to put together a cash supplement to take over the Rays, essentially, is what I'll call it. Because, of course, the Rays are going to – the MLB wants the Rays here. The city and the state want the Rays here. But they also want it to be non-invasive. And I said this last week, guys. For those of you who do not know, Tampa, Florida is absolutely humming right now. We've got, I think, the I can't remember what the exact number was. I want to say it was like 23 million people living in Florida right now. Here, let me pull this up real quick because this number is absolutely insane. I've got it up on one of these pages. All right, so population per 2024, 23.37 million. Big number. We've got the money. We don't have a lot of space, but we've got the money. Where? I don't know. There's a spot. I'm always talking about this spot because there's so much space, but there's Brooksville. That's 45 minutes away from Tampa Bay. Like just slightly less distance than Orlando is. Of course, there's St. Petersburg. St. Petersburg, if you guys look on a map for Florida and you see St. Petersburg and Florida, there's that like water that's separating that bit of the Gulf of Mexico kind of loops into that bit of the bay. Literally, it's why it's called Tampa Bay. But we have bridges, quite a few bridges, in fact, and that's how we go to and from St. Pete. So if they want to go back to St. Pete, I'm all for it. I would like for the Rays to stay here, but we're not against it here in Tampa Bay. They've been in St. Petersburg this entire time. It's okay. But if we can get them in Tampa, we'll get them in Tampa. That's the problem, though. 23.37 million. We don't have a lot of space, guys. Just don't have a lot of space, specifically in Tampa Bay. So, good luck. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all we can say. Good luck to our city and good luck to the Rays. Hopefully, we are able to work out a deal and hopefully we can carve out some space. They're tearing down some old, some really, really old apartments near the hood. So maybe that could be a spot that they could think about. It's not too far away from MLA Arena, like maybe 15 minutes away, give or take. So, and I'm saying 15 because it's downtown area. So, and you guys know, if you guys live in the metro, you guys know downtown is always the busy, and clustered side. And so it's the same thing here. But, yeah, like I said, hoping for the best, guys, hoping for the best. The Marlins are playing very, very good baseball right now. And by very, very good baseball, I mean entertaining at the very least, if anything. They are 3-1 after a series victory over the Pirates, dropping them to 1-3. The score of that game for earlier today was 3-2, and their next game is going to be against the Mets. The next series is going to be the Mets, and that's going to be starting at 6:40 p.m. tomorrow evening. So, like I said, tomorrow evening is going to be a hub for Florida sports, guys. We've got 2 NBA games, we've got 2 baseball games, and then I think that we also have we do not have. Yeah, that's Tuesday. We have hockey on Tuesday, so that's the good part. But we do have 4 games coming your way by way of MLB and NBA tomorrow. So if you guys are looking for either of those two tomorrow, 7 p.m. for the NBA games, 7:05 for the Rays game, and 6:40 for the Marlins game. So the Marlins have walked off their 3 victories to start the season. That's exciting. Shout out to the Marlins. That's literally just exciting baseball. I don't think we've ever seen that before, guys. Yeah, I don't think that's ever happened before in MLB history to start the season with 3 walk-offs, to start the season. That's absolutely insane. Yeah. We forgot to do a drink. So we're going to go ahead and do this. For those of you who do not know, every week since the Gators have won their SEC championship, we have been toasting to them. The toast of choice is going to be Tiramana. This stuff goes down great. It gets me, just nice peachy cheeked area. I'm not going anywhere for the rest of the night, guys. I'm here. And so, we're going to go ahead and pour us one as we continue to get through the rest of this show, guys. But I kind of realized that we forgot to do that, so we're not going to miss that. We're definitely going to salute our boys in blue and orange. Man, let me tell you, that's a smell on you. Let me tell you. I'm not a big drinker, actually. For the record, I'm not a really big drinker, and like somehow this bottle is almost gone. I drink, no problem, but what an exciting time it is for Florida sports. All of our teams playing pretty well right now, and like I said, with the Florida Gators making it to the Final Four for the first time since 2014, I think that we deserve this. And I'm super excited for the future for them. But I'm also excited for the future for this for the Rays and for the Marlins. Right, the Marlins definitely going to be a better team than they were last year. And the Rays, of course, who knows what's going to happen next with them? But we believe in this team. This team has some absolute studs on it. Yandy Diaz, the Lowe brothers. I can't speak highly enough about this team. Of course, we're missing some of our old guys, and I'm always missing Randy Arozarena. Man, I miss that guy. He was so cool, man. But let's take the time to be thankful for what we have before we wrap up this show, guys, and let's salute our Florida Gators on a tremendous W in the Elite Eight and to a future national championship. And we will continue to do this as long as they stay in. So I salute you, my Florida Gators family, and all of those sports fans out there who are supporting the blue and orange on their quest for another national title. Oh, man, that thing is in attack mode, baby. It's attack mode. This is the best Minute Maid, by the way, guys. If you guys ever tried the different ones, this is the best one. Hands down, so good. Back to the chat we go. So this is why I love my dad. He's my co-host. He's my ride or die. He's my right-hand man, or I'm his right-hand man, hopefully. But, he's just me, just older and more Boricua. But I say all of that to say that he is brilliant when it comes to this information. And if you guys didn't know, I didn't know this, but Tampa is currently the 11th fastest city in the nation. That's massive because for those of you who know the geology of the United States of America, you know that there are like 5 or 6 cities that are just non-negotiable, right? So obviously you have New York City, you have LA, you have Chicago, you have Houston and Dallas, and then Miami, right? So you know that those cities, those 6 cities, give or take, are just humming, right? Like at any given time. I would also put Atlanta in there. I would put in Atlanta for sure. And probably New Orleans, I think, might also fit that description. I wouldn't know if all of those cities are that high up. But just remember, guys, Tampa used to be just a small, kind of pirate's borough of a place. Realistically, central to all South, really all of Florida was just a hub for pirating if you go back 400 years. And when you had New York and Pennsylvania and DC and North Carolina and all of those places that were developing back then, Tampa, Florida was not one of those places. It just literally wasn't one of those places. And look at us now, an 11th fastest city in the nation. So fastest growing city in the nation. They figured out what we have going on here. They figured out how amazing life is down here. And now everybody's like, I want to live in Tampa, Florida. I want to live down south. No, you don't. The lightning is lightning and it up and winners at 3 in a row. Yes, I get what you're saying there, Dad. You didn't type it right, but I get what you're saying there. Yep. They have a half game ahead of the Panthers. Per record, they have the same amount of points, but per record, if one team was going to get in as a 2 and the other one as a 3, it would be Tampa Bay who gets in as the 2 right now instead of the 3. That's the only significance behind that. I'm actually about to go into that right now. Actually, we can actually jump like right on into that. This is the last bit of the show that I have for you guys, so bear with me. But so the Bolts, as the old man was talking about, all right, the Bolts have been playing tremendous hockey. It's pretty typical, right? Like, let's be honest. Bolts, bro. Come on, man. Y'all know how we do. The Bolts have been playing really, really good hockey. They're rocking a 43-25-5 record right now. They were able to defeat the Islanders today. My bad. My apologies. Yesterday, 32-31-10 Islanders, 5-3 in that puck game there. Good win. Got to play the Islanders again coming up. So this is that time that we've talked about before where one of these Florida teams usually makes a push. The last couple years it's been the Panthers. This year, maybe it's the Bolts. I'm hoping it's the Bolts. Love both of these teams, but obviously more of a Bolts guy. And it's looking like they're starting to put it together, and this is what's happening right now. The game before that, they thrashed Utah 8-0. I don't know what got into them. There was definitely hellfire and brimstone going on during that game because that 8-0 is sizzling, baby. That's hot. That's fuego, okay? You know, like, what's going on? Well, I'll tell you what's going on. It's called the Bolts are ready for the postseason. That's what it's called. They're winners of 3 in a row after a 2-game stint. Before that, a couple of wins in a row again. This team's starting to look like what the Panthers looked like earlier in the season. Their next game is going to be again against the Islanders, Tuesday, April 1st at 7:30 p.m. No, that's not an April Fool's joke. They will be playing on April 1st. So will the Panthers. But I can't stress out enough how much we were hoping for this and how much we were expecting the Bolts to kind of figure it out at some point and start pouring in, you know, W's, especially knowing the roster that this team has, again, one of the best goalies in all of hockey, one of the best backcourts in all of hockey, and some really, really solid defenders and scorers. I think that this team has everything it needs to make a deep push. The consistency is going to be key. You know, winning on defense and scoring on power plays. You guys know I'm massive about that. When you have numbers to your advantage, you use them. Math should always be mathing. And when it's not, that's when you lose. So if we can do the little things, you know what I'm saying? Stay out the penalty box, no icing, you know, let's keep all the guys on the ice at all times, right? Let's, you know, play tremendous defense. Let's be physical. Let's be smart. Let's be agile and continue to do those things. And we will find ourselves maybe even the 1 seed by the time this season is over. As the old man mentioned earlier in the chat, this team, all right, here we are. This team is tied for second and 1 point behind the Maple Leafs, guys. And that tied for second, like I said, there it's 1A, 1B. All right. And the Bolts are 1A right now by virtue of record. The Panthers record 44-26-3. They do have that extra loss on their record. That loss is the only reason why the Bolts are ahead of them as far as the seeding is concerned at the moment. Excuse me. It is subject to change. Okay. So keep that in mind. It is subject to change. I mentioned earlier, the next game is going to be against the Islanders. That's Tuesday, April 7th. April 1st at 7:30 p.m. My apologies there. And like I said, that half-game lead over the Panthers is just due to the nature of their records. They do have the same amount of points scored, but if one had to go in as a 2 right now, it would be the Bolts. So that 3 in a row that they won came off of the back of the last loss they had, which was against Utah. So all they did was avenge that loss on that 8-0 victory there the other night against Utah. Utah rocking a 33-29-12 record. So this team has been a little bit closer to 500 than the Bolts are. So it's good for them to get that W back. And I think, like I said, if they continue to play this way, you know, they can beat themselves. All right. That's basically what it comes down to. Dad, you said it best. Tampa Bay striking at the right time while the iron is hot. I don't really like hot irons. Let's use a hot butter knife. Okay. Hot irons hurt. They burn. So, yeah. And I have burned myself with the iron before. And it sucks. I'm showing my age, but it sucks. Yeah. Panthers. All right, guys, Panthers playing tremendous hockey. Well, they've been playing tremendous hockey all year long, and it seems like they're starting to wither a little bit. This is the furthest down we've seen the Panthers this year in the Atlantic, and it's not because they're not playing tremendous hockey, because they are. It just happens to be that the Bolts and the Maple Leafs are also playing tremendous hockey. All three of these teams jockeying for first place, with no team being more than a game to a game and a half behind the other. Panthers, like I said, rocking a 44-26-3 record. They lost to the Canadiens, which I think this is the second loss to the Canadiens this year. The Canadiens rocking a 34-30-9 record. The score of that puck game was 4-2 Canadiens. The next game will be against the Canadiens as well, Tuesday, April 1st at 7 p.m., and they're 2-2 over their last 4. Like I said, it looks like the Bolts and the Panthers have swapped places right now. I really think that the Panthers are probably feeling a little bit more pressure than the Bolts are, being defending Stanley Cup champions, and as a result, I would assume that that's part of what they're experiencing from this fatigue this late in the season after playing such high-level hockey. Now, I don't make any excuses for them. Tampa Bay's been playing high-level hockey for the better part of the last 6 years. They've been absolutely phenomenal, and I think that if the Panthers want to continue to find their success the way that they have been, that it's going to take what we've seen the Bolts do, and that's, before the end of the season, kind of break a little bit, kind of play a little bit slower, kind of focus on healing up and having the right rotation in towards the end of the season, really build up that momentum, really ramp up right there. You see what I'm saying? And develop that momentum, develop that continuity, and develop that perfection, that kind of perfected feel of the game of hockey as we approach the playoffs. This is where the Bolts have made the most of their money. This is over the last 6 seasons, I think it is, 4 of them. They've ended the season on a severe plus side than a minus side, which is just a massive thing. I think that this will determine, where they go and how far they go into the playoffs. At some point in time, you have to assume that the Panthers and the Bolts will probably hook it up. We're hoping that's later than sooner. It's one of those weird times where you say that, because realistically speaking, if the Panthers continue to play this way, if they are truly fatigued, if they are feeling that pressure, it's only going to benefit the Bolts more, and it will give the Bolts the inside edge. With that being said, should the Bolts be knocked out, the Panthers are the team that we will lean on. Of course, the Stanley Cup still goes to Florida. I've said that each of the last few weeks, and my stance on that has not changed. I do have a lot of faith in both of these teams, and I do suspect that either one of these teams will be good enough to make the Stanley Cup final, guys. And that is my opinion on that matter. And with that being said, guys, I do want to back to you guys same time, same place next time, Sunday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you're on the West, obviously it's a little bit later for 6 p.m. But yeah, Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m., guys. Same deal. We're going to go over everything Florida sports related. I'll have the fact of the day for you. I will have hopefully more details on what's going on with the Rays Stadium. But that's definitely going to be a process. Like I said, I will keep up to date with you on everything. And also, if you guys did not know, I do work with the mayor from time to time of the city of Tampa. So, to be able to have a direct lifeline there as far as the information is concerned coming out of the state of Tampa, I will always be in her ear, and hopefully we will have some more information coming up soon. But again, thank you guys so much for joining me here on Palm Beach Sports Radio. My name has been Corey Pujols, your host, and as always, it is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Until next time, I bid you farewell and good night. Go Gators. We love you, boys. Congratulations again on the Final Four. We look forward to seeing you guys bring home another dub against Auburn next week, guys. Keep it locked here for all your Florida sports needs, and I will see you next time. This is Corey P signing off.